So we're riding along. We already got a vehicle up ahead. Looks like brake lights are engaged. So we already want to be slowing down, giving ourselves more time and space to react. You can see this car is kind of drifting off to the side, still slowing down, and this biker just proceeds to continue on and crash right into the side of it. We saw at the end of that crash, this motorcycle rider has a passenger on their bike. So it looks like, based on the body language of the biker here, kind of moving their hands around on the controls, that they might be communicating with the passenger currently. So maybe they have some kind of Bluetooth setup on the helmets, as a lot of two-up riders often will. They're communicating as they're cruising down the road, having a good day, riding a motorcycle. The problem with this is it can be a form of distraction. If you're talking to your passenger on the back, maybe you're kind of tuned out and you're not focusing on hazards in the road up ahead. So if you're going to rock a Bluetooth and communicate with your passenger, it's very important that you continue to pay attention and that you're able to multitask and do those things at the same time. Otherwise, you need to give your passenger heads up and say, hey, I need to be quiet for a minute. I need to focus on the road so that I can keep us safe and not kill us on this motorcycle. So let's watch again. So I'll just give you some personal insights. If I'm riding this motorcycle right now, it's a 2-lane highway. I know I have a vehicle up ahead. I know there's vehicles coming in that oncoming lane. As soon as I see that vehicle up ahead, that's a potential hazard or threat, something that might kill me and my passenger on my motorcycle. So I'm already in this state of awareness and preparedness to take action. Maybe with this kind of space cushion I have currently, I'm feeling pretty good about it. But as soon as that starts to shrink even a little bit, I'm going into a more heightened state of awareness, and I want to be ready to react and respond. So watch as this car ahead starts to put on their brake lights and slow down, and that space cushion starts to shrink, that following distance. This biker doesn't really have any sort of reaction. It's almost like they froze up in a state of fear and paralysis. So already it looks like brake lights, and this biker just continues on, right? And now at this point, if the car is slowing down, maybe even coming to a stop here and drifting over to the shoulder on the left side, we need to anticipate, what is this car doing? We can try to look beyond the vehicle and see, is there hazards up ahead in the road? Is there an animal that's loose? Is this driver stopping, slowing down for a reason? And then try to identify what that reason is. If you can't see, if you're not sure, then your best course of action is probably to slow yourself down and come to a stop as well, because you don't want to keep going and try to go around this car and then face the hazard that they were seeing and dealing with. You don't want to continue on and have this car U-turn and you crash into the side of it like what happens here. If you don't have information, you need to come to a stop and buy more time and space until you can gain information. Otherwise, the alternative is you have no clue, you keep going, and you end up paying the price for it. So already here, notice this biker's lane positioning. They drifted over towards the dividing line here. And you can kind of see that car's body language. If you've been riding for a while, you can get used to watching the body language, the vehicle language of other motorists. If this car drifts over towards the shoulder and has those brakes applied, maybe you can anticipate they're going to pull off on the shoulder and sit there. Or maybe you could even anticipate, hey, they're looking for a spot to turn around. Notice another thing here that I'll notice is on the left side, there's just a little bit of a shoulder, and then looks like maybe a curb and some grass and that fence. But notice on this right side of the road, there's a big shoulder over there, like a pull-off area. So maybe that's what this driver ahead is waiting for. They were looking for this gravel area. They were looking for a chance, a break in traffic, to slow down and pull over into that gravel. And maybe there's some scenic views over here, big fields, maybe some animals roaming around. So it looks like they're set up to want to pull off into that gravel area and maybe stop and, check things out. So these are little bits, clues, and awareness that we can have when we're riding our bike. What's going on in the head of that driver? Why are they doing what they're doing? There is probably a reason, so we need to try and anticipate and predict what it is so we don't pay the price on our bike. So at this point, you're not sure what's going on, start applying those brakes, coming to a stop, maintaining that following distance and that space cushion between you and that vehicle so that you don't crash into it. So notice here, we're already way too close. We're still continuing on with too much speed and no information. And then we end up crashing as a result. Now, thankfully, the crash didn't look that bad based on the speeds. There was some slowing down that happened, so that's good. You saw some movement from the passenger there at the end. So hopefully both riders walked away okay. And it looked pretty minimal as far as I can tell. But it could have been avoided altogether if you slow down, anticipate ahead of time, and move yourself, position yourself, take some kind of action to prevent crashing into that vehicle, right? If it was me, I see that car slowing down, pulling over to the side, I'm just going to slow down, pull over to the side, maybe stop my bike. I'm checking my mirrors behind me, make sure other people aren't going to rear end both of us. But I want to gain information and know what's going on before I just continue on. In no case, in no scenario am I just going to keep cruising, hoping for the best, and then have this accident play out like that. So